What's up to all my YouTube followers? Special shout out to my new subscribers. You are here tonight for episode 1 of my relationship talk series. Tonight's episode is titled The Definition of an Ex. I've been pubbing all week asking my subscribers for you guys to send me questions. Basically, I'm gonna give you a male point of view. I've gotten tons of questions, I appreciate that. And we are going to be discussing basically the definition of an ex. Now, before I start, I want to give a disclaimer. I obviously am a college graduate. However, I do not have a doctorate or a master's degree, but I do have some experience in relationships. Personally, I have been in 3 long-term relationships. So we're just gonna get into a quick definition of what is a long-term relationship. A long-term relationship is a relationship where a male and female, we're gonna use the male and female for examples for this series. Male and female are in a relationship. I kind of like to put a time limit on long-term relationships, but at the same time, it's more so when you know you've been in a relationship with that person. I consider a long-term relationship at least a year. Some people might consider it 6 months, some people consider it 3 months, but me personally, I consider at least a year. I've been in 2 one-year relationships, and I've also been in a relationship that was 4 years long, on and off, of course. I do have some experience with relationships. I'm definitely not perfect. I have my faults, so I might as well say that right now. But I do have a lot of experience with different situations, different scenarios, and I've learned a lot on the way. I want to go ahead and share some advice coming from the male perspective with all of my YouTube followers. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into these questions, and I'm gonna start right off with question number 1. Question number 1, why do some boys don't like their girl talking to other boys? Good question. Okay, short and sweet. I'm gonna give an example. As a female, right? You know how like females only like to have that one person do their hair? If that person booked, you just don't get your hair done. If you have to absolutely get your hair done by somebody else, it's the end of the world. You are like tripping about it, nervous, you scared, you don't know what's gonna happen, you freaking out. You can relate that kind of to this. So as a guy, if you're in a relationship, which this is relationship talk, and you have male friends, and you're talking to them, you're confiding in them, you're asking them for advice about your boyfriend, all you're doing is opening up vulnerability and basically giving them the roadmap to fulfilling the desires that your boyfriend may not be fulfilling at that time. So that's why guys don't like girls talking to other guys. Now, every female has father figure, uncle, brother, cousin, nephew, somebody of the male species that is blood related. You can go to them and ask them for advice. But as far as like, the friend or, the close personal guy friend, it's not really needed. Next question. Why do guys have a hard time defining what their relationship is when they're on talking terms with a girl? Good question. I would say that if you're just talking, there's no relationship. Now, there's definitely a friendship or a relationship that may be developing or building. But if a guy is just talking to you and you have no titles, then there's not really no claim. If you don't have a claim, it's not really much of a definition that can be made. It's a very, very open and gray area. That's why, ladies, I encourage you to not necessarily force, but push or encourage or make a valid effort for the man to want to put titles on your current situation. Question number 3, do guys take breakups harder than women? In my opinion, it depends on the person. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of people I feel like believe women take breakups 10 times harder than guys. That's not true at all. A lot of guys, honestly, if they did have feelings involved, if they were hurt, they do take breakups harder than women. A lot of guys may not even want to end the situation, especially if you were doing your job, if you were there for the guy, if you were very helpful to him, if you had a lot to bring to the table and offer, then it is actually very possible that a guy will take a breakup harder than a woman. One thing I will say is I feel like when a woman is done, she's fed up, she can't take anymore. Whereas males, we kind of have a lot thicker skin, so we can take a lot and deal with a lot. But once that woman gets to the point where she can't take anymore and the guy isn't at that point yet, he will obviously actually take the relationship breakup a lot harder than women. This next person Snapchatted me 4 questions, so I will get through them very quickly. 1, do you want to get married? Why or why not? Yes, I want to get married. Actually, I'm planning on getting married in 2020 to who I just don't know. What are signs to look for when a guy is no longer interested? Time spent, effort, communication. If he's lacking in all of those, he's probably not interested. Does maturity of a male in a relationship vary by his age or the amount of wisdom he has? I do not like to put age on maturity at all. Obviously, they say, when you hit like 30, that light goes off. But at the same time, I know people who are very, very old that have no maturity level whatsoever. I do believe that it's definitely based on wisdom and experience. The more a man has went through, obviously, the more he knows, the more he can apply to his relationship. Why are males so pressed to get in females' pants sometimes? Honestly, as a male, can't really answer that question. You would have to take that up with the your significant other. All right, so I'm gonna focus specifically on some questions about your ex that I've gotten. One follower asked me, do you think you should stay friends with your ex? For what? Why? What's the benefit? What's the purpose? I am not friends with any of my exes at all, honestly, and I'm gonna just pretty much leave it there. I don't feel like you should stay friends with your ex. I feel like all that does is possibly leave an open wound, if that makes sense. And of course, in a situation of an ex, we know salt can get thrown on that wound. Next question. What do you do when your man's ex just won't hop off his train no matter how many times he tells her he don't want her? In regards to a male and his female ex, personally, I would say nothing. There's nothing you really can do. I mean, what you want me to say? Go beat her up? Honestly, as long as, you know, your significant other, your boyfriend, is not feeding into what she's trying to do, as long as she is not threatening, harming, hurting, interfering with your relationship in any way, do nothing. Leave it alone. I mean, you can't control someone else, honestly. So, okay, so next question. This one is actually a really good question, and I can relate to it strongly. If your ex had a really good relationship with your family, when you cut that person off, should your family do that as well? Yes. Having your ex still around your family means your ex is still going to be around you. At the end of the day, that's your family. That's a group of people that you will never ever be away from. So your ex should not have a relationship with them still. I don't care if it's like, you know, he was cool or she was cool with your brother or sister. At that point, all ties have to be cut, because that's going to definitely leave an open wound, which we do not want an open wound in a new relationship. Next question. Why do guys tend to want you more when they see you moved on with someone else? Honestly, when a guy sees that a girl is doing something for another guy that she once did for him, that really does low-key hurt the guy. When a guy thinks about all the stuff that the girlfriend did for him, and even if, you know, he may have done something wrong, or no matter how they really ended, most guys aren't gonna want to think about his ex doing things, whether it's physically, emotionally, socially, spiritually, whatever, for another guy. So that could actually cause him to probably pursue you and try to, at least, maybe if he might not necessarily want you back in his life completely, make sure that you're not pleasing or there for anyone else. And there is two different scenarios with that. One scenario could be he actually does want her back. He actually, you know, has came to his senses about what he's lost. Or two, he just doesn't want to see you with somebody else. So, okay, so a couple more questions that were directed personally to me. What do you think about girls cheating? I believe that females cheating is absolutely the worst thing on earth, and it should not be done at all. Question number 2, is it hard for you to commit to a lady? Not at all. Obviously, I've been in 3 long-term relationships, so I'm not afraid of commitment whatsoever. And question number 3, do you like to spoil your girl? Duh. Yes, that's why I low-key think about my past relationships, and sometimes I low-key want some of my stuff back. Next question. How should a girl approach a boy that she's interested in? Well, I'm more so old-fashioned. I was raised by parents that were much older, so I always was taught to be the predator. But me personally, I like when a girl approaches me with conversation, basically trying to get to know me. If a girl is trying to talk to a guy and she's actually spending her time opening a face-to-face conversation with him, like if you see a guy and you say, he's cute, I like him, I want to get to know him, but you want to be bougie and just wait for him to try to come say something to you, that's not gonna work. Like, you have to be confident. If a girl comes up to me and she starts a conversation with me, I'm gonna know that she likes me at that point. So at that point, I'm going to act on whether, you know, I think she's attractive or not, whether I might like her or not, and I'm going to continue that conversation with her. I feel like it's very, very important that the girl creates some form of conversation with a guy. Okay, so another question about an ex. Why do guys cheat on good girls to begin with? Okay, so honestly, it's not really no right or wrong answer for this one. It's more so just what I can tell you is, if a guy cheats on a girl that really is holding it down, she's not cheating on him at all, she's doing her thing, she's fulfilling her purpose to him, then honestly, he just still has grown up to do. He's a little immature and he has never been hurt before. Next question. Why do guys act like they don't care after they break up? And the second question, do guys ever converse with their friends about their relationship or ask for help? To your first question, I'm not gonna say all guys act like they don't care. If they don't care after you broke up, then they don't have feelings for you anymore, and that's pretty much just what it is. As far as the second question, do guys ever converse with their friends about the relationship or ask for help? It depends on the circle, for real. Like me, for example, you know I am in a fraternity. Me and my chapter, we don't really ever talk about our relationships with each other. It's other people that I am friends with, though, that, you know, are in a different circle, that I actually do talk to them about my relationship. So it just depends on the circle and how close they are around the type of relationship that they have with their male friends. But guys definitely do talk about their relationship or the significant other with their male friends. So this question is, should a relationship have a good end? Should we have a talk before we really break up, just not to leave this behind, be clear, and learn our mistakes? I have mixed feelings about that. Personally, I do believe that a relationship should have a good ending, but it never really happens that way. It is rare. I mean, I'm not gonna say never, but it is rare that it actually happens that way. I feel like if you are gonna have a talk before you really break up, don't do it through text. Be an adult, be face to face. It can be, you know, maybe over lunch, dinner or something. And don't just invite him or her to lunch and then just, you know, break up with them and let them think they're coming and just enjoy lunch with you. Kind of maybe, you know, give them a heads up. I think, you know, we might need to have a conversation about the direction this relationship is going in, and we should meet up for lunch or something like that. As far as you saying to be clear and learn our mistakes, I do agree with that. A good talk before a relationship can definitely lead to those things. Okay, so this is the final question. A young lady asked, I currently go to the same university as my ex. How should you go about saying an ex in public? Okay, so there are one or two ways you can go about it. It really just depends on how that situation ended. First, if that situation ended pretty decent, pretty well, it was a mutual agreement type of thing, then be comfortable in your environment at all times. If you run into your ex, you know, you can speak depending on how well it ended. You maybe can ask how things are going, but definitely not more than that. And then if the situation ended toxic, on the other hand, I would act as if that person doesn't even exist. Try to keep as much space and distance from that person at all times, because you don't want anything coming up or any issues arising. That was the final question, and I hope that this episode of Relationship Talk was somewhat beneficial to both men and women. And I want to thank all my subscribers and followers who did submit questions, and I want to thank everyone for viewing this video, and continue to tune into King KAPPA KARL's YouTube channel. And everyone have a blessed day.
I took her on a vacation. She fell in love with the way I tasted. Fell in love with the way she take it. Go down on me, girl, I know you wanna taste it.